tops off a week of learning, of gathering, of people sharing information, but mostly of people just loving this industry that chose us.
Well, listen,
It's
man.
Tales of Cocktail in a nutshell.
Yeah, listen, man. We're gonna have to do that shit all over again, because apparently I got notified that like the mic was muted. So people were just checking this out and checking out the pretty faces. But here we are. So I'm gonna start again with saying, welcome to Leaf and Dram, the Frankie Dranks podcast, right? Where we talk about spirits, we talk about cocktails, we talk about great bars, and we talk about great cigars.
Sure.
And I'm here with my man Joe Pete, hospitality legend, and I'm completely honored to have him on. Don't act so shy, bro. We you command the big dollars, and one of the best things that we have is the ability to talk about the world we live in. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. I know we're super late. Again, a lot of tech difficulties, all on me, and I'm gonna own them, as I should. But most importantly, we're here. We're streaming out to Frankie Dranks on YouTube,
Sure.
Frankie Dranks on Facebook, Leaf and Dram on Facebook, and even my personal. So, listen, there isn't a great thing unless we can get our boy muchacho. So listen,
I wasn't even going to try to reach
we're
out to him in
here
Spanish.
in.
So I wasn't going to do that.
You want a daiquiri or are you good?
Oh, no, I'm good right here.
Tráeme un daiquiri, por favor. Gracias.
That's just
So here we're at the number 6 bar in North America, top 50 bars in the world, right?
certainly has become one of my favorites in the United States is Cafe La Trova.
Number 28 in the world,
28 in the world, 60
number
in the United,
6
60
in
in
North
United
America,
States,
right?
but becoming a full favorite in my heart because this is a very special, unique, heartfelt place that has been like years in the making, and it's been here for a couple of years now, 2 years now.
We're hitting 3 right now.
Oh, three. Oh no, we just celebrated the third anniversary.
Yes,
That's right.
absolutely.
So we were here for that.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
were here for the third. I had a good time. If you can't tell, I had a really great time while I was here.
We all had a great time,
Everyone did.
and that's part of it, right? You
Yeah.
come to Cafe La Trova, and it isn't about like whether this cocktail or that cocktail is going to be like the best one you've ever had, or but guaranteed one of them is. You're going to get amazing hospitality, but the whole ambiance, the food, the drink, the music is what's garnished them this accolade. And I'm super happy to be here. I'm super happy to be here with you because we spent many nights in what we call the back alley.
The back alley, which is the very rear end of Cafe La Trova. So you have your entrance typically of any restaurant or establishment. You have your main bar, then you have your dining room, and then they have a second bar. Well, behind that second bar, there's this alley that we're sitting in which late night just becomes a place where we gather, we share, we laugh. There are beautiful cigars that are
Yes.
had, and some really delicious spirits, in particular rums that are shared. And Julio Cabrera, who is the proprietor, is also probably one of the finest hospitality hosts, ambassadors of goodwill, if I could say that, of not only just this place, but all of the places that he goes to. There's a certain level of just camaraderie and reverence that he just transposes to everyone around him, and he's just that one person, that dynamic, unique person that just makes everybody feel something unique and special. And that being said, here we are with this live podcast. Is it we're on a podcast? YouTube?
We're going live,
Mhm.
and here we are with the mosquitoes out here, and
Oh yeah.
and
The
the
mosquitoes
humidity.
love Frank and I,
Yeah,
which means that I'm going to get started on the cigar early.
get started. Let's roll through that. That's a beautiful Phineas Gage H99 hybrid Corojo. Just beautiful Lancero. One of my favorite sizes. And if you guys get your hold on that, that's a lovely Drew Estate offering. Get it while you can, because it's just magical. So listen, I ordered a daiquiri, right? Because that to me is something. And thank you very much, man. Friend, say hello to everybody.
Everybody, hello.
What's your name?
My name's Carlos.
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 Yes,
Carlos.
Oh,
Carlos isn't it weird?
Carlos.
Tell us where you're from, where you're at.
I'm from Cuba. I've got an English accent, but I'm born in Cuba.
All right, my man.
Definitely.
I love, dude. English accent from Cuba, and we love it. Thank you for the daiquiri. Salud. This is what you get. This beautiful offering, and man, check it out. So, dude, this is the epitome of being here. So I'm gonna drink this for you guys.
Yeah. Three ingredients: a rum, fresh lime, and sugar. Sounds relatively easy, but it's not. It's a very
Don't
difficult cocktail to master, but once you get it right,
don't forget the ice, and check out what I got for everybody. I've got my man Barbarito, who's a legend here, legend cantinero. We're going to talk about cantineros in a minute.
sure.
But here we go. Here's Barbarito showing you how you can make your daiquiri.
El clásico. Enjoy. En la trova.
No.
So thanks to Barbarito Vega for that beautiful
What is it?
La
Demonstration?
Trova Classic
Yeah.
Daiquiri.
It's a dep-
Daiquiri. I know we say daiquiri, but it's really from a town called Daiquiri, right?
And
And
is it from the Santiago region of Cuba?
um,
Am I okay to say Cuba even though I'm not Cuban? I can say
yes, you
Cuba.
can say Cuba,
Cuba.
and you
Okay.
can say Santiago, right? Because
Santiago.
that is 100% correct.
Santiago. Yeah.
Now, the history of the Daiquiri um, is one that for everyone that's watching out there, you can research this, you can look it up, and you're going to find a lot of different information about how a Daiquiri comes to be. And I'm going to give it to. Um,
Well, the story goes that there was an American engineer many years ago, prior to 1940, who was the person who has been labeled as saying that he actually discovered the combination of rum, lime, and sugar, and called it the daiquiri. Thus, he invented it. Uh, Listen, the reality is long before he was even born or even thought of, the combination of rum, lime, and sugar was happening. And that being said, here we are with a drink that holds a lot of nostalgia, a lot of history, and for me, quite frankly, is the epitome of what a refreshing drink made with three simple ingredients that I think that all bartenders should know. Yes, there is a space and a time in which the frozen daiquiris became a part. of what we have come to assume all daiquiris are. But before that even happened, the combination of rum, lime, and sugar happened a long time ago, and but here we are. But I will say this: that it is a Caribbean cocktail, but most importantly, I pay homage to that it is a Cuban cocktail.
Right. And last week, I had the privilege of having Mr. Julio Cabrera on, or the week
Anybody
before,
see
or
Julio?
I don't know, he's
Is Julio?
somewhere out here. But we had the privilege of discussing the mojito. And in the history of the mojito, which is something that I had earlier, thank you, La Trova, um, something that we were able to discuss about El Draque. And we talked about El Draque going back to the 1500s, right? All the way to the 1800s before we name it, and all the way before we get to the daiquiri, right? To a
Sure,
daiquiri. And I think that the use of rum,
sure,
lime, and sugar together goes back to the roots of rum production.
sure,
We do know we start producing rum in Cuba.
sure,
Historically, 1511 is a date. In 1506, we start producing it in sugar mills in Santo Domingo. By 1511, we have the first functional sugar mills in Cuba. And it wouldn't be too far to understand that we're not talking about rum production, we're talking about sugar mills. But from sugar mill production to producing a rough variant of rum is not far. The remnant production of sugar is molasses in
sure.
the Caribbean. So we talk about using sugar, not sugar itself. Sugar is too valuable as granulated.
We're talking about a sugar byproduct.
Sugar byproduct, which is molasses. So,
Folks, I know we're live, but every once in
you
a
know,
while there's weather. There's concerns of
there,
weather. And then what
but
happens with weather is that every once in a while thunder and lightning appear.
and thunder and lightning together. Psst,
Happened.
if you could come here and say hello, um, it's my
Yeah, we're
podcast,
live, but it's
Rebecca.
Rebecca, come
It's
on in. Thunder
so
and lightning, folks. Get in here.
right here.
Oh
So
my God! Look at
so
this.
this is Frankie Dranks' Leaf and Dram podcast, and here we are with the beautiful
Aw.
Rebecca
She
Quinones.
told me to do more podcasts.
Yes, yes.
And so here we are. So I'm going to invite you to grab a cocktail and pull up a chair because we're talking about things about sugar and lime
Mm,
and rum
mm.
and ending
All
in the
goodness
daiquiri.
en el daiquiri.
So, listen, there's all of a handful of people watching us. So I'm very late on the podcast. I blame him. But
Joe, ¿qué pasó, Joe?
but
¿Qué
I'm
pasó?
testing him out.
We had to eat.
Yes, but I'm testing Mr. Joe P out. So I invite you to go grab a
No
cocktail
pressure.
and maybe because I have a really high grade camera, Julio, maybe all four of us can be on the broadcast because I have a pretty good mic. So how about it?
I love it.
Get a cocktail and
I'm on my way.
and let's talk about sugar, rum, and lime.
I love it. I'm on it.
So
Thunder and lightning,
everybody.
folks. Thunder and lightning.
Thunder and lightning, baby.
That's it.
So here we are, number 6 bar, in the world, and you get so many famous people that roll through here, and we're completely blessed, man. And Joe, let's continue that conversation because I had it with 2 weeks ago with Julio, right?
Sure.
It was about we call the pirate culture coming into the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Well, it means that they're pillaging gold coming out of Central and South America
Sure. Yes.
through the ports, primarily Havana, then Santo Domingo, right? And other places that the gold is being
Excavated
funneled through
and funneled through. Yeah.
into the New World.
Sure.
The old thing with the mojito, to cut it short, was Uh, Sir Francis Drake scores the gold. He sinks the Spanish galleons. He collects the gold, but he hears that all the gold is not on those ships. There's still some gold in
Golden
Havana.
in Havana, yeah.
So he parks his ass outside Havana and says, I'm going to raid fucking Havana, pull the gold, and get out. But his crew comes down with scurvy and dysentery. So he sends his little minions out for a cure.
Sure.
And they send back aguardiente,
Aguardiente, yeah.
right? Which was probably a very rough form of rum.
Sure.
They send back some sort of sugar element. So more than likely, it was not granulated sugar. It was probably miel uh, de destilado, right? Which
Okay.
would have been miel, which you see it written, and it's honey,
Honey.
molasses honey, which is clear molasses,
Yeah.
the yellow molasses,
Yellow molasses.
not the uber dark,
Dark
which we
molasses.
call like black strap
I
when it
think
gets to the.
I think what you're alluding to is that historically, um, things just didn't appear to be what they are today. There's many reasons and many factors, whether they be conflict or full out war or politics, that put us in a position in which we drink the things that we drink, and for a reason why. There's a reason why mint ended up being one of the benefactors to the daiquiri, which then translates into
Right,
a mojito.
right. The antiseptic nature
Nature
of
of mint,
mint,
yeah,
the native tribes would have known
hmm
that the antiseptic nature of mint
sure,
would have been used in a wound
yep,
to cleanse it. But what they're going to do is they're going to send it with el aguardiente. They're going to send it
sure,
with the miel. And lastly, they're going to send it with something that's endemic to the Americas. They're going to send it with lime. And, bro, just get some fucking lime and your scurvy's done, right?
sure,
Your,
sure.
your dysentery's done. Your dysentery's done with ingesting some freaking mint. Um, so, and then we can talk about gin and tonics later, Joe. Because I love that story. But later we'll talk about that. But we talked about that, and now we're talking about the daiquiri, which is kind of the refined mojito, right? No,
But at the same time, we can also talk about the caipirinha, which subsequently has become, along the same timeline, which is a national drink of Brazil, which is a former Portuguese colony, and which is the combination of cachaça, which is the first press of sugarcane,
which we
lime, and
which we
sugar.
call what apple. So sugarcane juice. So instead of cooking the sugar to get granulated,
Granulated. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then making rum out of the leftovers
Sure.
of the cooking process, which were the molasses.
Sure.
We're actually making rum out of the sugarcane fermentation. And sugarcane juice fermentation happens fast as fuck.
Absolutely.
Super fast,
Um,
super flavorful.
yeah, a lot of dynamic flavors. So, to say all that, there's a really great book if you want to take this education beyond even further than what we're talking about. Is Potions of the Caribbean, correct? Potions of the Caribbean, which is a book that actually I was referred to by Julio Cabrera when he would do his podcast or his YouTube shows, and or his cocktail trainings that he would have on his webinars. And this was a few years ago.
All right, I think we're back live. So, thanks to Joe. I don't know how much you guys got of that, but part of it is the history of sugar, the history of colonization, the history of how we develop a cocktail that we bring to you today that has such a long, long history in our world. And here I'm fighting off mosquitoes, but it's an amazing journey of what a cocktail can be. So, listen, for the first time, I'm actually able to get in the chat. So, oh man, so I'm going to jump in the chat and try to answer like some of the questions here. Because I'm working with the tech here. Um, Josh, man, yes, we'd love to visit you on the Distillery Trail. We'll even bring Doug Shrug with us. Kara Coleman, thank you. But here we are, just trying to get this stream going. Super cool again to be out here at Cafe La Trova and talking about the beauty of having a daiquiri, really a historic cocktail um, that has gone through branding changes and so many branding issues, but goes back so much further into rum, sugar, and lime. And Julito, tell me about the daiquiri, bro. Let's go.
Daiquiri is probably the second classic Cuban cocktail after the canchancha. It was created around 1898, December, in
December.
Santiago de Cuba. Santiago de Cuba, close to the daiquiri, the mines, iron mines, that it was close to Santiago de Cuba in the Daiquiri Beach. It was created by Jennings Fox, an American engineer, mining engineer who was working there. He got a visit. Pagliucci. Pagliucci was an Italian-Cuban fighter against the Spanish, who was actually working in that place too. They met together and they had nothing to drink but limes, sugar, and rum. So they mix it with ice and they create that concoction. They call it rum sour. And Pagliucci say, no, rum sour is too
Too generic.
yeah, too generic. Let's call it daiquiri, like the beach around here, the town around here. And they start going to the Venus bar, the American bar, the Venus Hotel in Santiago, Cuba, and they start asking the bartender to make that cocktail for them, and became popular. And then in 1909, left Cuba to Washington D.C. and in 1914 went to Havana
Well,
by González Maragato,
so
Spanish cartel.
listen, I've got so listen, Mike Artino, man, yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. But yes, I promise to stream onto one thing. So if you listen to Julio, the story goes back a ways. A combination of people having the opportunity to combine the ingredients that are readily available: sugar, lime, rum, and you said the most important word, which was ice.
Yeah, it was ice.
And ice is the key. And from there, here we are drinking the most amazing version of a daiquiri. Uh, outside of, yeah, of course I do, but I will get some in a minute. The most amazing version of a daiquiri outside of La Florita. So, my man, thank you for having an amazing experience with a daiquiri. Um, listen, man, we got people on the chat here. Um, much love to everybody out there. We're trying to get you on the right stream. Again, bear with me, trying to run you through the history. And Julio was just giving me a history of the daiquiri. And,
there's layers. It's not as simple as it seems.
It's not as simple as it seems, because I'm going to add in is what was, Julito, what was the first rum they used in a daiquiri?
Bacardi Superior, Carta Blanca.
Right. Are you positive?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Bacardi,
that's
Bacardi Carta Blanca.
yeah, that's historical fact.
All right. I love it. But Jared Brown also says that Bacardi purchased the story in the most brilliant of marketing moves for any brand early in his book, Cuba Cocktails. And so if you can pick up Jared Brown and Anastasia Miller's book, Cuban Cocktails, you can get the story. And he presents an alternative. So I let you decide.
So okay, let's just play that. So what if Bacardi purchases the story? It doesn't negate the fact that Bacardi was the original rum that was used. The Bacardi Superior.
Potentially not. And that is, to me, I don't knock on it. What I say is, let's talk about the history of the canchanchara, which exists historically before the daiquiri, and what makes it different.
Just the honey, and it was not rum. It was aguardiente and water.
So higher,
no ice.
higher quality rum, not molasses based, and actual sugar, right? Which is a different animal and reacts completely different in the mix. So would you say it's a different drink?
It is the same sour family, but it's different drink.
Different drink.
Yeah. Whiskey sour is not the same like business. They belong to the same family
of sours.
The same template, that sour, but they're not the same drink.
One's a gin.
Yeah.
And one's a
aguardiente is the first distillation, raw, and they were using honey or molasses.
Right.
But it's pretty much honey and water. No ice.
Right, no ice. And the introduction of ice, I think at the end of the day, when we look at the grander scheme
because ice
things,
production happened on a mass scale at that particular time, which wasn't available to everyone.
Well, ice, if correct me, Julio, ice is brought in from North America on transport
Midwest,
ships. It comes from the Great Lakes area, where we're actually loading ships with block ice and bringing them to Cuba so they could use them. So again, creating a brand new experience of cocktails. And that to me is why Cuban cocktails is such a fascinating.
And was the daiquiri the egg that was hatched for the fascination of Americans to embrace Caribbean Cuban culture with the daiquiri, and that's how when Prohibition happened, guess where all the Americans came to or went to? They went to Cuba, right? And
I'll
where
take
did
that. Thank you very
and
much.
where did all the American bartenders go to? Right? Where did they went? They went to Central South America,
Yeah,
correct?
they went
And
they
Europe.
went to primarily Cuba. They went to Italy. They went to Europe, right? As American bartenders went everywhere. Harry's American Bar, which wins a an award as a staple, is born out of American Prohibition. The attention to Cuba is born out of American Prohibition, and it's not everything. It's not everything. The attention, and then what Cuban bartenders brought to the game, layers on top of it, and it basically expands our world. And as we sit here today to have a beautiful sip, thank you to Julio and for his knowledge. Can you make? I got Mike Ortino says, can you make a daiquiri with a spiced rum? Mike, you can make it with whatever you like, but the essential ingredients are this: it's granulated sugar and it is fresh lime juice. That is part of what makes a beautiful, balanced cocktail. And you can play around with your spirit, right? Whether it's 1.5 or 2. Um, with your ice, if you're using the refrigerator ice, your shake is short because you're going to over dilute your stuff.
Because at the end of the day, you want dry ice, not the dry ice where you pour some type of liquid over it and it becomes this smoky
No,
ice.
it's a hard, clear ice.
It's a hard, clear ice in which you can shake longer and the dilution is less versus a wet ice, which I call party ice, in which when you do use that ice, the shake has to be hard and short versus a dry ice, which is long and
Right.
hard.
And
soft.
mind you, you can mitigate those things
Yeah.
with put the rum in the fridge, put your your lime juice in the fridge,
Yeah.
so they're already cold.
Sure.
By the time that they're going into your ice, make throw the sugar, throw the lime juice in your ice in, and then your spirit, so you don't break down your ice ahead of time. Shake very fast, very quick,
Sure.
and then strain it into your glass because it gives you the opportunity to get the most chilled uh, cocktail you can get at home. And nothing, I believe that you're going to enjoy it. A daiquiri is not meant to be to nourished. It's a 4-sipper, man. I'm sorry to say. And for everybody out there, it's a 4-sipper. You're going to just ingest this as quickly as humanly possible,
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Yeah, and I will have to add into this is that for a long time, for the many years that I've been lucky enough to be behind the bar, whenever I made a daiquiri with the rum, lime, and the sugar, I was using simple syrup. But it wasn't until several years ago when I began to follow Julio or visit him at his bars that he was working at before he opened his dream of La Trova, that he pointed out that simple syrup was not a friend to the daiquiri, that the simple syrup was equal parts of sugar and water, and it added to the dilution, which meant less flavor. Thus, when Julio pointed out that superfine sugar or granulated sugar was actually the friend, and the original way of making the daiquiri is when I began to use the sugar, the whole sugar, the granulated or the superfine sugar. And there is a difference. It's a better tasting cocktail. So therefore, since then, I would recommend. But listen, at the end of the day, we want you drinking really great drinks. We want you using really great quality products. And if what you have is simple syrup, which is the equal parts of sugar and water, that's fine. But the preference is using granulated sugar, in particular superfine sugar, and adding that along
Not
with your rum.
powdered.
Not
It's
powdered.
not- it's
powdered.
still super
to
fine
me,
granulated sugar.
Yeah. Well, powdered sugar is a
And-
really great
And if
decoration.
you could use cane sugar,
Even better.
you will find you're closer to
The original.
what we're drinking
What we're drinking.
versus beet sugar. I hate to call it out that way, but it tends to be like that. So, listen, man. Here we are at the epitome, at the temple of drinking something uniquely spirited, and our conversation went to the daiquiri, but
As it should. I mean, I think Julio and what they have done here at La Trova is put the daiquiri front and center, especially in a period of time in which other cocktails are gaining significant traction over the years. I know for as long as I've been bartending, I remember in the 90s, no one was drinking Manhattans and old fashions. No one. Today, that's a different story. And now to have a citrus, refreshing cocktail be positioned in a place in which it gets to celebrate a part of the cocktail history is a very special and unique thing. But to say all that is to say, prior to La Trova, Frank, and the daiquiri and how Julio and this family and this team here has come to celebrate it. What were you drinking? Because I know what I was drinking.
prior to a daiquiri. So I'm going to shout out to my man Joaquin Simo, who's out there somewhere. But Joaquin learned from the best, and he always said, "You want to judge a bartender on their skills? Have them make you a daiquiri."
Oh, without question,
And
I believe
and
that.
and if you didn't want to spend the money on the booze, have them make you a lemonade. Because they would understand the balance between sweet and sour. And understanding that for a bartender is a huge thing for us on the receiving end. But to answer your question, prior to the death, right? More than likely, it was a mixed drink because that was the endemic nature of what we had,
Sure.
right? Especially here. We were big Scotch drinkers and still are, right? And we love our Scotch and soda. We love our Scotch. If you're a Hispanic, you're drinking a blended Scotch and cola.
Which is something that was new to me. For me, prior to the daiquiri, there were two cocktails that I leaned on very heavily. One in particular, which was the pisco sour. It still is a cocktail that I still lean on heavily. Especially, I have to shout out Melanie Asher and the folks at Macho Pisco and La Diablada, which make a really beautiful fine pisco. And the other is a pina colada. I think, as much as I would like to say that I would have 3 or 4 pina coladas, for me, 1, 2 great pina coladas would just make my night. One again, I will stay here in South Florida, in particular to Miami, to South Beach. I will say that the finest pina colada that I've had in the United States thus far is at Sweet Liberty. I think what John Lemaire and his team put together years ago still to me defines what I think is a really beautiful pina colada. And if you're ever in Miami, if you ever make your way to Sweet Liberty, I would say that is a really fine interpretation of Puerto Rico's national drink, which is the pina colada.
Right. And mind you, there are so many versions, and everyone's used to the frozen version of that. But when you have a handshaking, the same way that when you have a handshaking daiquiri,
Fire.
It's a completely different world. Listen, Joe, man, I think we can wax poetic about cocktails here, but I'm going to invite you back to the next podcast. I hope that you're around because I love the knowledge you've got. We're with family here. enjoying history of cocktails, and what more could we ever want? Having a cigar, having a great cocktail. There's probably some rum coming.
Friends, with this fine man here, with Leaf and Dram, we have a beautiful cigar that I'm enjoying, and I would like to say that beyond the fact of all the beautiful people out in Las Vegas, Nevada, who introduced me right, to cigar smoking with their classes that they had. Chris Dale, we love you, brother.
We love
Right?
Mike Priz.
Mike Priz is a
Shout out.
Shout out to the Sir Capitan at Lost Laundry, Rob Amato. Yes, you.
Yeah, you're showing up on the fucking chat, bitch.
Yeah,
Because you
you
texted me
Yeah.
and Tim Rita, bro. We love you.
Oh, Tim Rita. I just spoke to Tim Rita at length yesterday. He and his team at Lyre gave me an incredible opportunity last week at Tales of the Cocktail, so shout out to Tim. But I will say that Frank has taken me under his wing and has slowly introduced me to the art, the expression, the culture, and the sophistication to cigar smoking. I'm still learning and I'm embracing this culture because it is absolutely wonderful and beautiful to understand how all of these things may have an individual place, but not as important as collectively of how they work together.
Yeah, and trust me, it's part of the experience, and you want to know about an H99 Lancero, the Phineas Gage. You can look it up online, but the beauty is it's the beauty of a hybrid Corojo, right? Which made H99 the thing. But I love the Lancero size, and I'm waiting to hit mine up because I talk too much shit over my podcast, so they go out, right? It's a thing. But there are some freaking like rum coming that's out of this world. And for everybody tuning in, I'm going to say thanks. Thanks for tuning in late. My personal apologies. I apologize for the technical difficulties because we lost so much like great shit because the mic was off because I had some issues. Promised to fix them for the next one. But my man Joe, I'm gonna say thank you, man.
Oh no! I'm going to say I'm grateful, man. So that's all I'm going to.
You know that we get to talk about the shit that we love, history of cocktails, history of spirits, history of the world, and we got two killers across the table from us, and they're just like rapping poetic,
no.
right?
He said Mike Artino. Yeah, no. It was actually off a little bit longer, Mr. Artino. But we'll figure this out. We'll do this again and we'll get it right. And you'll be the first person that gets invited.
My man Mike is the shit. Shout out to Rebecca Alkilla, No Filla, Quinones, and my man Thunder and Lightning, and Mr. Julio Cabrera, who's the best ever. Anytime, hit us up when you're coming to Miami. We'll hang with you, man. We'll show you the way. Right?
Shout out.
This is the way. For Leaf and Dram, thank you so much for tuning in. Completely honored that you guys stick around and willing to listen to me fucking wax poetic every freaking week. And with that, cheers to you. Salud. And we out, baby.
Cheers.